Welcome to California Edition. My name is Brad Pomerance. We are joined by Rick Zbur. He is the incoming Executive Director of Equality California. We have known each other for many, many years. Yes. And in reading about your appointment to this position, I learned that you're actually a trailblazer. In a lot of ways, to me, you're Rick Zbur. But I had no idea that when you were at Latham & Watkins, one of the major law firms in town, you were the first openly gay attorney. I mean, I knew you back then. I didn't know it was a secret. Yes. Well, talk to us about that kind of trailblazing that you've done.
Well, if you think about it, I joined the firm in 1985.
Right.
And many of the firms did not have openly gay attorneys at the firm. It was a very, very different time. And so I got to Latham and looked around and realized, geez, there just aren't any other.
Were there other gay men or women there, do you know?
There were a few. Not
but
very many.
Quiet.
But they were quiet about
right.
it. And so, the times sort of changed.
Right.
I was lucky to be at a firm that was really very focused on meritocracy and
right.
frankly, the fact whether you were
no one cared.
whether you're a gay man, it didn't really matter.
Right.
It really didn't matter that much. But I was the first person who came out at the firm, and the firm was terrific about it. I mean, it embraced it, supported LGBT organizations at the time, supported a number of the AIDS organizations,
and ultimately, when you made partner, I guess that would have been in the early '90s. Right. You were the first openly gay partner
yes.
at Latham & Watkins.
Right.
Were you one of the first openly gay partners at any of the major law firms? Do you know?
I think I was in that. I mean, there were other openly gay partners at some of the other firms at the time, but
right.
there were only a few. So I mean, it was I really was coming out at the
right.
time when there were very few openly gay partners at all the major firms, but most of the major firms began having openly
sure.
gay partner around that period of time.
At the same time, you have made a legal career on issues unconnected to LGBT matters.
That's right.
I mean, you have been known as one of the state's most accomplished environmental lawyers. Mm-hmm. So is that a dichotomy, or is it just, it is what it is?
Well, we all care about a lot of different
exactly.
things. The environment has been one of my passions. If you look at sort of what I've devoted my free time to, it's been, helping kids,
sure.
Achieving LGBT equality, and actually
right.
protecting the environment. And so those are the three areas I've always focused on.
If you left Latham, I would have expected you to wind up at some environmental defense organization, but you've made the decision to join Equality California. Why is that?
Well, I think we're sort of at a tipping point in the state and in the country. As you see, we're winning the battle to achieve marriage equality. Mm-hmm. We've won it here in California, right. and that battle continues in other parts of the country.
In Utah, it's being won in Kentucky. I mean, these places you'd never think.
Yeah, but there's a lot of places you can still leave California, and a person who is LGBT. We lose many of our rights by crossing the California border. So, for Equality California, it is still an important. It's an important objective that we achieve full equality across the country
right.
and throughout the world, frankly.
So here we are in California, and like you said, we are one of the more progressive states when it comes to LGBT protections and legislation. We are at a tipping point. What more are you working to do? And I say that with love and support. I'm not taking a position, but what more is there?
Well, we have a number of things. In this legislative cycle, we actually have a package of 7 bills that we call Achieving Full Equality from Cradle to Grave. And so we have a bill that we're working on with Assemblymember Jimmy Comez, mm-hmm. AB 1951, which modernizes birth certificates, allows parents to designate whether they are mother, father, or parent. So it's actually something that will allow for accurate birth certificates for LGBT people who are parents.
T meaning trans, because if you say parent, it could be.
It could be. All of us, yeah. all portions of our right. communities are parents.
I want to ask you, if I may, about trans, because you say we're at a tipping point, and I think in a lot of ways maybe we've tipped, mm-hmm. and in tipping we have forgotten that these are still issues that are new and not necessarily surrounding everyone in our community, including and especially children. Mm-hmm. I have a 12-year-old back then 11-year-old daughter in 6th grade. She enters a junior high school, and on the loudspeaker they're talking about pledging for the AIDS walk, and there's a transgendered 12th grader at the school. My daughter didn't know what AIDS was and didn't really know where to go with this transgender child. So I wonder if we're kind of forgetting that we need to, walk before we run. We're running, but what about the walking to help kids with the tableau, with the framework?
Well, that's sort of, Equality California is evolving in terms of our mission. We always had been viewed historically as an organization that engaged in politics to get pro-equality candidates elected to the Assembly and the State Senate and to the governor's office, and then we would achieve our objectives through adopting legislation. Well, we've adopted a lot of that legislation. We still have some important pieces to fill, but we really sort of see our organization shifting and becoming much, much more of an organization that assures implementation of programs, that's educating the public, that's using the power of our mobilizing capability. We have over 1 million people that we communicate with that was built up over the Prop 8 fight. So we really have an enormous mobilization and education capability within our community, and we want to use that to help educate the public, as well as mobilize LGBT people and our allies to continue to advance equality and fight discrimination. So just because we have laws on the books doesn't mean that discrimination has gone away.
Right. But it begs the question, because I do go back to my daughter and the lack of information. Do we need to step back? Again, this is not about laws, discrimination. This is about, we just presume knowledge when knowledge needs to be imparted.
Yes. Well, we're working on programs to implement education to teachers and others in the schools as part of the implementation of some legislation that was passed by and worked on by State Senator Ricardo Lada, which is focusing on sort of bullying in the schools and educating kids and educating teachers about our community and about making sure that schools are safe for kids. But I think you're right. In addition to sort of just protecting our kids in the schools and bullying, we have a lot of education to do in terms of helping people generally in our community understand sort of the issues that our community faces and how to talk about our families, and that's something that the Equality California Institute is really focused on.
So if I went to Sacramento right now and I went to the speaker's office, I would be speaking with Toni Atkins. She is the first San Diegan to be speaker. That's an accomplishment. Also the first gay woman to be speaker. If I went to Long Beach and I went to the mayor's office, I'd be speaking with Robert Garcia, first Latino, but also first gay man as mayor of Long Beach. A lot of milestones.
We're very proud of both Speaker Atkins, Speaker Emeritus John Perez,
also a gay man,
who preceded her, and Mayor Robert Garcia. They really are the future of our movement. One of the things that we're doing to expand our political engagement, as I said, we used to focus on the state assembly and the governor's office because that's where things were, but we really know how important it is for people to see LGBT people in higher office. It's important to sort of help the broader community understand sort of who we are. It's also important to give role models to our kids, people out in the Inland Empire, Central Valley, Orange County.
But how do you make sure that, I specifically said she's the first San Diegan and the first lesbian, first Latino, and how do you make sure that they're not just that?
Well, I think with all three of those people, I think it's clear that they aren't just that. They never would have gotten where they are if they had just been pigeonholed as the LGBT candidate. I mean, they've got a very broad base of support. The issues that they're focused on are the same issues that we all are focused on. And it's but from our perspective, it is important that LGBT people have a seat at the table. And one of our objectives, and I think one of the things you're going to see, is that we're going to set a goal at Equality California to elect more openly gay and LGBT people.
You'll come back to discuss it?
Sure.
He is Rick Zbur. He is with Equality California. I'm Brad Pomerance. It's California Edition.